Hi, I'm Alice. Girls, tell me, what are you ready to do to make your crush notice you? 3 years ago, I pulled the craziest stunt in my life. Just imagine, I suggested we could do a cool couples trick on skateboards. He hesitated for a long time, but he agreed in the end. Turned out that it really wasn't such a good idea. We failed the trick and both fell down headfirst from a high ramp. After that, hell began. I remember terrible pain, being on a stretcher, and the bright lights of an operating room. When I came to my senses, the doctor told me some terrible news. I would have to learn to walk again. When Mom brought in the wheelchair, I burst into tears. Even more so when I saw myself in the mirror. My whole head was covered in bandages, and there were terrible scars all over my face. And that's how my new life began. We moved to another city. The best doctors in the state tried to help me there. Going back to school looking like that was scary, so my parents let me study at home. It was pretty lonely at first, but soon I met our neighbors, and they were siblings. Phil and Maria turned out to be really cool guys. Every day, they would come over to our house, and they'd do everything they could to make me laugh. Without them, I definitely would have gone crazy. 3 years flew by just like that. I became best friends with Phil and Maria. I got better, my scars healed. I'd also learned to wear makeup by then, do my hair all pretty, and choose clothes that fit me. So now, a real beauty was looking back at me from the mirror. Much better than before the whole sad story had happened. But most importantly, I had learned how to walk again. Yeah, I'd gotten rid of the wheelchair I hated. And now, nothing had to remind me of my suffering. My friends had also changed. I taught Maria how to look cool, and I helped shy Phil become the school president. They both supported me when I first came to my new class. I had never felt so cool before. Boys kept looking at me and flooded me with invitations to awesome places. The gym teacher was even staring at my figure so much that he crashed into a wall while showing the class an exercise. It was all so new to me. I laughed at jokes that weren't even really funny, and I blushed from all the compliments I got. It seemed like everything was going great. But after school, Maria grabbed my hand. "What are you doing? You're acting like a fool. The girls already hate you. They're the only thing they talk about." And that's when I noticed the other girls in my class for the first time. They were whispering angrily and glaring at me. Making enemies on day one would have been pretty stupid. So I decided I would make amends at once. I spent the evening baking cupcakes using my grandmother's recipe, and the next morning, I treated the girls to them. It took me a week to befriend all the girls that had envied me. I let one of them borrow my fancy dress for a date, helped another one with her makeup, and taught yet another one how to use a curling iron. I was distant with the boys, just like Maria had taught me, but they seemed to like it, especially Mickey. He was my most devoted fan. He gave me flowers, walked me home, and one time even arranged a spontaneous photo shoot. He filmed me taking a test, munching on a burger, and even rushing home. Random photos really do turn out to be pretty cool. I liked it so much that I decided to give him a chance at a school party. I danced with him the whole time. We looked so cool together that we were even chosen as the king and queen of the evening. But when they put the crown on me, I looked around and saw the annoyed faces of all the other girls. I was feeling a bit uncomfortable, so I broke the crown and I gave a piece to every single girl so no one could be offended. And then I said, as if we were in a beautiful movie, "Each of you deserves to be a queen. I'm just doing what anyone would have." Since then, I became the most popular girl in my school. The boys were fascinated by my beauty, and the girls were charmed by my kindness. I was invited everywhere, to parties, cafes, movies, even just to get food for my cats. I was loving the attention, but it was really hard to find time for everybody. I would see my neighbors less and less often, even though they kept inviting me. Instead of helping Phil at the 3D modeling contest like I'd promised, I held a masterclass on curling hair for my new friends. And when Maria got sick, I didn't even visit her because I was at a skate park. My classmates didn't know about my old injury, so they had called me there. I didn't really want to tell them no. They would have thought I was a coward. Although, to be honest, I was really afraid. But I still got up on a skateboard, and I soon felt brave enough to try and surprise my classmates with a risky trick. But it didn't go the way I wanted it to. As soon as I sped up, Phil jumped right in front of me and knocked me to the ground. The skateboard kept riding without me. Everyone laughed. God, what a humiliation. I barely got out of my friend's arms. "What the hell, man? Did you need something?" Phil stuttered and tried to explain something, but I didn't listen to him. I went home. My evening had been ruined. I was sitting in my room feeling angry, but soon someone rang the doorbell. I was sure it was Phil coming to apologize for his stupid stunt, but it was Mickey. He suggested that we go for a walk together. We had a great time together. Mickey walked me home and asked to borrow my phone to call a taxi. As a thank you, he kissed me. Mickey left, and I went home. To my surprise, I saw Maria. She had climbed over the fence and was waiting for me on my porch. "What are you doing here? Aren't you sick?" "Alice, I saw everything through the window. You should stay away from that guy. Trust me, I've known him longer than you have. He's actually nasty and mean." "What kind of nonsense is this? You're just jealous that I have time for him and not you." I hadn't asked Maria for her advice on this. Then one thing led to another, and we had a serious fight for the first time in 3 years. It was little wonder that the next day when I came to school, I was in a terrible mood. When girls surrounded me, I began to feel a little better, but instead of chatting like normal, they began to examine me carefully, and then one of them suddenly said, "Alice, it's a miracle! Why don't you have any scars left?" I understood everything right away. Apparently, Phil and Maria had blabbed about my operations. Well, there was nothing I could really do but tell the truth. I had a really good doctor. I hadn't thought my classmates would be so interested in my operations. As soon as I left, they began to discuss it with vigor. However, it didn't really bother me much. I went down to the hallway to say hello to the boys, but when they saw me, for some reason, they frowned in disgust and turned away. And when I waved to Mickey, he laughed really loud. That was going too far. What's so funny? And why won't any of you say hello to me? Mickey wiped his tears of laughter on his sleeve and handed me his iPhone. There was a collage of 3 of my pictures on the screen. The first one showed me before the fall. In the second one, I was covered in bandages. And the last one was current me. I didn't understand what was wrong, but Mickey explained, "I knew it! Beautiful girls like you don't actually exist. Your face is just the result of a ton of money and plastic surgeons." "What are you talking about? I just fell. They didn't change anything about my face." But no one listened. Everyone was laughing and competing to see who could make fun of me more brutally. Now it's clear why she broke the crown. She just didn't deserve it. It's scary to imagine how ugly she must have been to decide to get plastic surgery. I knew, of course, who had started it all. Maria had made that stupid collage out of envy and decided to send it to all of our classmates. Or maybe Phil had decided to take revenge for the incident in the skate park. One way or another, someone from that family was to blame. I wanted to say everything I thought about them both, but I couldn't find them at school. They didn't respond to my angry messages either. I decided I would visit them after classes, and I would just have to get through the day until then. But that turned out to be much harder than I thought it would be. My classmates were constantly touching my face and admiring the skill of plastic surgeons. They had so many questions. How in the world did you convince your parents? How much did it cost? How long did it take to heal? Boys stopped noticing me at all. The rumor about my plastic surgery even reached the teachers. The gym teacher forbade me from doing any challenging exercises until I brought a permission slip from a doctor. And the chemistry teacher asked me for my surgeon's phone number while blushing. I was still the prettiest girl in school, except now no one admired me. When the classes ended, I ran into the bathroom and burst into tears. After I had finally calmed down, I clenched my fists and headed to my neighbor's house. I saw something weird in their yard. There was a large table with food and drinks standing in the middle of it. Maria, Phil, and other guys were sitting around it. It looked like they were discussing something. It really pissed me off. So that's how it was? These traitors had decided to celebrate their successful bullying and what, call everyone over? I absolutely had to ruin their party. I walked up to the table, swept all the food off it, and climbed on top of it right in my shoes. Phil and Maria had already opened their mouths to say something, but I beat them to it. How much more disgusting and pathetic could you be? You're lucky I moved into the house next door and made friends with you. Before you met me, Maria, you were so plain that no one ever noticed you. And you, Phil, you never would have become the school president without my help. Maria jumped up from the table and ran into the house in tears. And I grabbed my own face and pulled at the skin. This is all real. Real. You see? I was covered in bandages because I had an accident at a skate park. I was met with silence. Cindy, our classmate, was the first one to recover. We know, Alice. Phil and Maria already told us everything. You're so important to them. But I guess they aren't important to you. I slowly got off the table and I sat down in Maria's chair. I broke out in a cold sweat, and Phil took my hand. We never would have done that to you. Those pictures were sent by Mickey. He was the one who spread those stupid rumors. But what are you all celebrating here then?
It's a farewell party. We're moving to another state tomorrow. We tried to invite you too, but you weren't listening to us.
I felt so ashamed of myself. I dragged Phil into the house. Maria was sobbing into her pillow in her room. I sat down and I hugged her. Tears were rolling down my face, but I found the strength to say the most important words. I'm sorry. Forgive me if you can. I spent way too much time sitting at home, so I got obsessed with getting attention. I didn't even try to find out who actually sent that damn collage. I just immediately thought it was you, my best friends. Now I'm gonna lose you forever. I started shaking even more. Maria hugged me back, and Phil put his hand on my shoulder.
Okay, stop it. It's not that bad. We can video chat and come visit each other sometimes.
You're really gonna forgive me? Even after what I did in the yard? They looked at each other and nodded. Everything was fine again, but I really wanted to deal with Mickey. Maria stayed with the guests, and Phil went to find him with me. Mickey's mom opened the door for us and let us inside. There were portraits of a boy hanging in the corridor. After a closer look, I almost cried out in surprise. They were photos of the guy I'd convinced to do a dangerous trick 3 years ago. I asked Mickey about that guy as soon as we got into his room. I expected anything except what I actually heard.
That's me. After that fall, there really wasn't much left of my face. My parents moved to the city so I could be operated on by the best doctors. I had 5 different plastic surgeries, and I changed beyond any recognition. I hated my reflection, and I blamed you for everything. When you got transferred to our class, I didn't immediately recognize you, but your tricks in the skate park seemed familiar to me. I got kinda suspicious when I took your phone and got proof. I found pictures of you with a bandaged head, and I understood everything. All my feelings for you immediately disappeared. I felt horrible. I've been living through so much over the years, and you're living comfortably, getting prettier by the day. So I sent the photos to myself, and I decided to take revenge.
At first, I felt terribly angry with Mickey, but then the anger passed. He was just an unhappy and hurt guy. I'm sorry about what happened, but I've suffered no less than you. Besides, you have your own head on your shoulders. You could have refused to do the trick. It's kind of stupid to blame me for everything that happened. Mickey tried to say something in his defense, but I didn't listen and I left. Today was the last day I'd get to spend with Maria and Phil. We had fun, and we no longer were angry with each other. That evening, I said goodbye to them. My friends left, and I was all alone. At school, everyone still shunned me. My classmates were shocked by how rude I'd been to my best friends, and they didn't want to talk to me either. And I never made up with Mickey. I made a mistake, but I apologized. I did what I could to make it right. Why should I have to move to another school now because of that same mistake? What would you do in my place? Tell me in the comments, please.
This is the SCP Foundation, a secret organization that finds and studies anomalous objects all over the planet. These are the Foundation's secret files. You may already be familiar with them, and these are the stories of ordinary people who got lucky to encounter the most horrifying creatures in the world. The SCP Chronicles reveal new details about the anomalous objects you didn't know before.